Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Scott. Before I get into the next tub, I wanted to show a stack of what I believe are autographs. Should be fun. I collected autographs when I was a kid, so I'm really excited about these. Let's jump into it and see what we have. First couple of items, family photos, and a few old tin photographs. And they are let's see here, one of them. It does have a name on the back. I do not recognize that name, so I'm going to assume that it's either a very distant relative or perhaps it was just collected because they're tin photographs. This is not a tin photograph. Interesting nonetheless. A couple more old photographs. Oh, an old postcard. Grandmother Wilkins. Well, we've identified Miss Wilkins. This is where Ma Wilkins was raised. At least that's how it is labeled. That's very interesting. Don't know who Miss Wilkins is, but it was very humble beginnings. It looks like a postcard, but it actually opens up into like a stereo optic viewer of a cemetery scene. Interesting. Empty. It's mailed to my father. Ooh, this is neat. It's a hand-signed, hand-inscribed. It looks like a postcard, but it has no cancellation on it that I can see, or no address. It looks like to Muriel Ronald Reagan. I should probably be wearing gloves for this. On the back of the card, it has Ronald Reagan, 1939, Sergeant Murphy, 1938, Cowboy from Brooklyn, 1938, Boy Meets Girl, 1938, Brother Rat, 1938. It goes on. I'm going to assume that it's just a handwritten list of movies that he appeared in. That is very cool. As I've said, my father was a giant collector. Some things he bought in person, some things he went to conventions, some things he picked up when he was traveling, and he collected them throughout his life. I'm going to work under the assumption that these were purchased from someone. I do not recognize the name on the return address, and it's an address that's in New York. We're located in the South, so I think this was probably a sale of some sort. And it was, it's postmarked 2012. So it was mailed a couple of years before my father's death. Well, it's an envelope and an envelope. The interior envelope is from 71, going to the last name that's on the outer envelope. My very best to you always. Jim Neighbors. And there's a note in here that's unsigned. It refers to Jim Neighbors in the third person. It's about a song recording. I'm going to assume it's probably written by a secretary or an assistant. The note, that is. I have no idea about the actual item itself. This is some paperwork about an Elvis club. Oh, okay. It is a letter of authenticity. It includes a letter of authenticity from a hairstylist at the Sahara Tahoe Hotel from 1976 regarding a lock of hair that was framed of Elvis. And I'm assuming it's a section of a towel. So essentially just another certificate of authenticity. I'll just put it with the others. Certificate of authenticity. Very cool. Timely. A few videos ago, lots of books, all leaning toward the right. Certificate of authenticity, leaning toward the left. Joe Biden. Very cool. Apparently, it was obtained when he was vice president, because that's the inner envelope. I would have to check the signature more carefully to ascertain that it is not a fake. I know sometimes they use an auto pen, which sounds like exactly what it is. It is a pen that is put into a machine and signs the person's name again and again and again and again. Often used by politicians. Years ago, it was used by businessmen. I assume it probably still is, but in the days of emails and many assistants and secretaries and so forth. I'm not sure how frequently they are used by individuals anymore. A couple of odd items together. A family tree, my family tree, in the manila envelope, but outside of the family tree, and it's a little sticky on the back. It's in a holder. It almost looks laminated, but I would have to, I think maybe it's, I'm not sure if it's laminated or if it's has plastic that's been taped over it. But it says, to Bill, best wishes, George Bush, Laura Bush. Maybe a little closer. As I said, it almost looks laminated, which would be a horrible shame, since laminating an autograph greatly depreciates the value. A couple of index cards that have been signed. Again, a no-no. The person wrote on the back of the very legible signatures in pencil on the back of the cards. They have identified who the persons are. A few videos ago, I think I mentioned autographs, you know, and maybe attach on the back in a folder, but don't physically scribble or tape a certificate of authenticity to the item, but include it with the item. So someone like me, when you pass along your stuff to your next person, they'll be able to identify it readily. Well, this person has written in pencil very lightly in the back corners who the persons are. But as I said, these are legible signatures, and they are Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford. Fun. That is cool. Very nice. I'm going to assume that this item was from when he was president. I have, quickly, my grandmother on my father's side, they lived in Whittier, California. Whittier, California, for many people, would recognize that as the home of Richard Nixon. And for a short time, my grandmother was the nurse to Richard Nixon's mother. My father met Richard Nixon, my grandmother met Richard Nixon, and I guess he was the sitting vice president at that time. And we have a couple of cards signed from him, identifying him as the vice president. This says the White House, Washington, best wishes from Richard Nixon. So I'm going to, this card does not look like the other cards that I have seen when he was vice president. So I'm going to assume that was from when he was president. But again, without, the signature looks like the signature that I've always seen. I would have to investigate it more carefully to guarantee that it is authentic. But I'm going to assume, since it has been preserved. This is a clipped signature on a card from 2004, probably taken from a letter or something else, but it is a cutout. These do have value. I remember these from the days when I collected autographs. People do trade these. They don't have as much, they don't hold as much value as a photograph or an actual letter. But oftentimes you'll see someone who has written in the return address where they wrote, you know, from me to you, someone will clip out the name where the person has signed. And that's what they've done with this. but it is Bill Clinton from 2004. Again, swinging both ways of the political spectrum, because, like them or not, these are all people of note that are in the history books. Photograph has the name, has a little quote from Walter Mondale. The back just has a further breakdown of who he was. All right, this is from the Vice President's desk, 1979. It's addressed to Richard Lyon, Esquire, care of the Shoreham Americana Hotel in Washington, D.C. It's just a typewritten letter signed from Walter Mondale. Here's a senator, Lisa. I don't recognize her offhand. It would be easy enough to check. Signed photograph. If you recognize who any of these people are and want to save me a trip to Google Lens, let me know. Best wishes, Senator Susan Collins. State of Texas Governor Rick Perry. Don't recognize this name right away. Best wishes, Bob Taft, I think. I think the last name is Martinez, but I can't make out the first name. From Florida, maybe. Looking at the seal in the back there. Another senator, thank you, best wishes. Bill Nelson. Unsure if some of these people are sitting or not sitting. Don't know all the senators, shame on me. I do know that, as I mentioned in an earlier video, for those collectors, politicians like to get votes, and an easy thing that they can do to is sign an autograph, sign a picture. Most sitting governors, congressmen, most politicians of note, if you send them an email, if you called their office, can I get an autograph picture? They will send you an autograph picture. It is a very easy way to get the signature of a future president. It takes about 50 stamps. Or 100 stamps, excuse me. Looks like Matt Bush. I had a friend, or the person that introduced me to autograph collecting years and years ago, would write to every cardinal so that he could get the signature of every future pope. Worked. It is a newspaper clipping. President Bush with Representative Dick Cheney, the new Defense Secretary designate. It is from the presidency of George Bush Sr., and it is signed by Dick Cheney. And it looks like it's laminated. It is not. It's actually, it looks to be in the backing of a comic book, the acid-free board into the same sleeve. It's a nice way of protecting it. It is a autograph photo. Again, I would have to examine it more. This almost does look like an auto pen because it doesn't have the signature bleeds into the reflection bleeds as you turn the page instead of being slightly, not elevated, but the reflection is different. But Laura Bush, George Bush. What do you think? Auto pen, real or not? Signed photo or auto pen, you be the judge, George Bush. I have a couple of different items here. An old photograph, it looks like someone on the campaign trail. Richard Nixon, I'm assuming that's Pat next to him. And on the back it says 1969, President Nixon. Probably just identifying whoever took the photograph. This is a clipping from December 1967. Vice President Hubert Humphrey accepts a presentation of stamps at the Bahamas from and he mentions that he has a large collection of stamps, but it is signed in the corner. Not sure if they're just on the bottom right. All right. Well, now this is very nice. Not a lot of collectors do this, but it always aids in guaranteeing the authenticity of an autograph. The person has a photograph signed from Al Gore. Very nice photograph. But they have included a photograph of him signing what we would assume is this photograph, and it's dated 2008. That always really does. Every big bit of was it Providence? I'm mixing my consonants up there, but anything that you can do to guarantee the authenticity of an autograph increases the value of that autograph. This is from 2004. The person has a certificate of authenticity, has included a certificate of authenticity, and what we assume is a while not a photograph of him signing, it is the back of his head in a meeting and a signature. But here we have Barack Obama. And if you can see, where is it? Right here, with his back to the camera, is the president. A letter from the Office of the Vice President, 1968, Hubert Humphrey. I'll cover up who it's to, but just a nice letter, type letter sign. And on the back, they've included a little bio of the vice president. I do not recognize the signature. Let's see. Looks like maybe they've included a certificate of authenticity. It is a cheap certificate of authenticity from Sci-Fi Autographs. It doesn't identify who the person is. It is an old photograph, it's stamped on the back, official photograph of the White House, Washington. I could probably pretty easily, it's not a sci-fi autograph. I could probably fairly easily either do a Google Lens search or just ask all of you, who is this? Because of the framing, I'm going to assume it's either this person, and it looks like Mondale again, or this person here. But whose signature is that? Can anyone tell me? Again, I'll probably just Google Lens it, but it's to Bernice and Nathan with best wishes. So I'm going to assume that again, it's probably this person, and it does look like Mondale once again. Handful more. Typed letter signed from Nelson Rockefeller. That's regarding the Republican National Convention. This is dated 1964. He was vice president under President Ford. They've included a nice little cheat sheet up here in the corner, posted with a few details about him, but Nelson Rockefeller. Another it's from the Office of the Vice President. Is it Reuben W. Barkley? Alban Barkley. The bio's on the reverse again. 35th Vice President of the United States. How many of you knew that? Alban. That is a name that you do not hear anymore. A playbill from the cover of a playbill. It's been torn free from the Broadhurst Theater. Half a sixpence. Signed in the top corner here by Richard Nixon. Oh, okay. This is nice. It's an invoice number from the where it was purchased, what it is, how much they paid. Looking for a date. This was purchased in 2000 for $75. There's another little piece of paper on the reverse here. It's facing inward, which is why I can't just show it to the camera easily. It's just identifying what the item is. All right, this has a PSA registration certification number. It is Dan Quill. With best wishes, it says, with best wishes, Dick Cheney on one side, and on the reverse, there is no certificate of authenticity. On the reverse, a photograph, best wishes, Bill Clinton. Would have to check both. All of the ones that, unless I stated otherwise, unless there's some paperwork to go along with it, or you know, you hate to see smudging on an autograph. You almost, at least that you go, oh, it's not made into the photo. Here's a nice old photograph signed of Gerald Ford. There's a thank you on the back of this signed photo of Jimmy Carter. I almost think that this is guaranteed to be an auto pen, because it says thank you so much for purchasing this photo, as opposed to autograph, signed. There you go. What do you think? Auto pen? Another letter regarding a purchase. Oh, this is the regarding the newspaper printout or cutout clipping of Dick Cheney. It's purchased on eBay in 2009 for winning bid $1,550. It was purchased from My Movie Memorabilia and More. While it's probably easy to say, oh, it's purchased on eBay, it's fake. Not necessarily so. Some people do not want to spend the money to, it could be $50 to get something, and that's before shipping, to get something verified by, an expert, PSA, one of the great companies. And if an item's only worth if it's only worth $50, you're not gonna, it's not worth getting it graded. That's an issue with a lot of the trading cards that I had. If you could sell a card ungraded or a photograph or what have you for X amount, yes, you could get more if it was graded, but what is it worth the time, effort, the months of waiting to get something back from an expert, putting it again in quotations? I personally have sold many autographs on eBay. Some that I used to go to a film festival every year, well before everyone, all the new stars would go, and you'd pay you can get Chris Pratt's autograph if you go to a convention, if you go to Comic-Con and you're willing to pay $200 or $250 to stand in line. I used to go to a local film festival. They would bring in old Western film stars. None of them charged. I met a number of the actors from Star Trek, the guest stars. And this was, again, they didn't charge. And subsequently, 10 years ago, I got rid of a lot of my collection of autographs. I didn't have any letters of authenticity for anything, but a great number of them I knew were original, and I could in all good conscience say, I obtained this. You just include a letter like some of these that say it was obtained in person by me at this place or time. The more information that you include, obviously, the better. The dates, that sort of thing, because later, if someone wanted to verify it, they could go, oh yeah, he appeared, this person appeared at this convention. Or if it was a politician, they were in town to give a speech in Denver on this date, blah, blah, blah. Just my thoughts. All right, jumping into this envelope. Oh, some loose cards. Again, since there are so many of these, one, I'm going to assume that they are original. They were probably all purchased from either a dealer, sometimes even from the person themselves, in the case, I'm not in any way saying that this person should be trying to shadow this person. Tommy Mason, I'm not super familiar with this person, but a lot of cards here. They all have signatures. Could have been obtained from online, could have been obtained from a dealer, could have been obtained directly. I used to write to celebrities when I was a kid, and I would send them things if I had it. I sent movie posters that I buy from a movie theater, take a chance, mail it, get a couple of movie posters signed that way. The film conventions, a few times I purchased stills, black and white stills, and for $1, buy a black and white photo that was pretty, it was nice. And you dig around, you ask other collectors, get a person's address, mail it to them. If you were lucky, they would mail it back, signed. And that happened a few times. But have about 8 different cards, signed cards from Tommy Mason. Also, 1, 2, Pro Football 1967 Sports Illustrated, signed Tommy Mason. Sport, the 20th anniversary year, signed Tommy Mason. So I would bet the house that those are all genuine. Don't know how much value they have to as compared to a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan, but still fun. All right, this is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of the Honorable Gene Taylor, Member of Congress. And I do have a flag. Has a sheet saying how to display it and the etiquette involved, and a nice little pamphlet about the United States flag. So that's fun. I'll include that with the flag itself. I'm glad that I didn't display it without, I'll just place it with the flag itself. That's it for right now. Thank you for watching. My name is Scott. If you like this video, please hit like. If you want to see more videos, click subscribe. And if you have any comments about any of the individual autographs, if you recognize them, if you think that's real, that's not real, oh, it matches this, or that's an auto pen, let me know in the comments down below. I look forward to opening the next box with you. Thank you for watching.